When you join Tom Busby's free YouTube at dtitrader.com/YouTube, make sure that you like and subscribe. And I'm going to go ahead and get logged in there right now. Actually, we've got upcoming. We'll get that. There we go. Looks like it's up and running. And let's get that like in there. I'm going to go ahead and say good morning to everybody in that chat room. So, welcome into our YouTube guest. Glad to have you guys joining us. Feel free to type in if you have any questions. We'll do our best to get that relayed into the Zoom presentation where you can hear your answers. Again, click the bell to subscribe so that you know when we come online, and click the thumbs up on the live video and streams, and feel free to participate in that chat room. Now, we are going to be discussing markets today, so we have to make sure that we make this clear. There is a very high degree of risk involved in trading. You and you alone are going to be responsible for the decisions you make, so make them responsibly. Not every trading strategy is going to fit your particular financial situation, so make sure you consult with your financial advisor before making any major decisions, and consider risk always. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Okay, so last night crude opened 105.07. They made it up to 106.86. The good news is crude is back down to 104.16. That puts it below the open. It's something we're paying attention to, but it's still above 100. So that's something you have to consider in terms of that risk. And we'll get the link to the slides. And let's see. Looking at a few other links that have popped up there. All right. So we got a few things going on. We'll put that slide link in there momentarily. Of course, one of the major news events really throughout the entire month of March, and Tom sort of keyed everybody into this leading into March, is Iran. It's still the primary issue that is affecting the markets. We see that in the crude market. We see that in USO, which is Tom's special opportunity from the T-Buzz weekly newsletter. If you haven't checked that, make sure you do. dtitrader.com/weekly. This week, well, today is the last day of March. We're going to finish out this month and we're going to begin to set up the next one. We'll have 2 days of April. And here's something I got asked about this yesterday. I want to make it clear. The employment situation report will be coming out Friday morning while our markets are closed. So, how you approach the weekend is very important. We're going to stress that again, both tomorrow and Thursday. And I'm sure Tom has a few pocket puts waiting for us, but we'll see how that plays out. Key levels, most of these are off the board. The week open at 63.80, uh, the low of March, the low of the year, the low of the quarter, all that stuff lining up there at 63.53 quarter. And assuming we don't make another low before the end of the day, that is going to be a very important number going into April. That to me seems to be a pretty big assumption, but I'd like to have that number sitting out there for a while throughout the first 2 days of April, and then ongoing. Keep an eye on it though, 63.53 quarter, and see if it gets updated before the end of the day. Tom, your opinion on the market today? What are we looking at? Because to me, it seems like we're just trying to get through today to get to April.
Well, what we're looking at is a market that I've taught my people in futures. Last night we had a class and we're all geared up to go short. We gave them target prices, everything that we thought it would go. But we said, to remind everybody, don't get in unless you do it after 9 o'clock. Well, about 8:45, the market started surging, went out the top end of the reference bar, big warning sign, and we just kept going all night long. And then this morning during RB3, we hit our peak at 64.97. That's a pretty good run from the lows. You're looking at 100, almost 150 S&P points overnight and through this morning. And so when you look at the market, you go, well, boy, that ought to put us in good shape for March. But then Chuck posted the monthly open, which was 68.20, 68.20,
Mm-hmm.
and that's sort of interesting. But
Yeah.
last night, let me finish. Last night, crude oil was 106.85, the high of the night. And I thought if it broke 107, we were going to go a lot lower. But stock came down, spent most of the night between 102 and 103. The low last night, I'm going to write this number down, of 100.83. And then this morning, it started moving back above the midpoint of that range. Let's do it 100 to 107, which puts you about 103.50. We're at 104.45. So you saw a little sell off from those highs down to the pivot number. And crude's really calling the shots because I think it's interesting. And I want to ask a question to everybody. Okay, this weekend's Easter. It's Friday. Saturday or Sunday. Friday is Good Friday. I had forgot that this weekend was Easter, and I thought this was the weekend that he was going to take Carg Island. And I got to thinking about that. I said, well, when could he do it? And the language coming out is typical Trump. He plays both sides against the middle. Oh, they're great. They're great meetings. Everything's going good. And then on the other hand, he goes back to the oil. I think if you have followed him like I have all these years, I would be holding my hands open, thinking he's not leaving after doing all this without taking the oil. So if he's going to do it, when would he do it? It's the next question. So would he do it tonight? Start the offensive? He's got those people in place. Would he do it tomorrow? When would he do it? And I think he puts a lot of those messages out there to disguise his actual timing. I think you pretty much have to ignore the words and look at the action. And I think that if he did attack, you would see this market go down, as Chuck said, and visits the low.
That's 63.53.
Yeah, and John, don't make a mistake. That deadline, if you look at the language, that's if the talks are going well. Who determines if the talks are going well? Trump determines. So he could come out and say these talks have broken down or whatever. He'd say something not that direct, but the general theme of it would be all bets off. It's time to go. I'm just telling you, that's the way that works. Remember what happened on the 48-hour deal where he said he was not going to change that, and then he waited to like 75% of the time was gone. Then he announced he was going to give an extra time. Y'all remember that? Okay. It's just negotiations, all it is. Be careful, okay? And I just think you got to keep that in mind. So we have a rally. Is this the rally that the lows are in place? We're going to go up from here? Nobody knows the answer to that. I've been trading for 40 years, and I don't know the answer. All I can tell you is this market is about an hour and a half trend at best. Futures are the best market to trade in this kind of market. Options are tough unless you hit the right time to enter and time to exit. So you got a real dilemma going on out there because a lot of people think they say, hey, this is it. This is what they've been waiting on. And then what happened? It breaks at 45. And next thing you know, we're down there pressing the low. So what we do have, though, is Genesis. Now, Genesis, 4 out of 5 days, this doesn't change, makes a high or low during this time period. We haven't been higher than 97 after hitting it, so it's going to be interesting. If we get above, say, 6,500 or higher, they'll probably push it to at least RB4 if they do that. But it's just too tough to tell right now, and it's a dangerous market, in my opinion. You had some stocks bounced up. Look where they are relative to where they opened the month at. This market's down a good 8% for the month. So my feeling is keep your hand off the mouse. Wait until we get some clarity on how this thing's going to play out, the final stage. We're in the fourth quarter, obviously, and maybe people are looking ahead. I'm not the kind of trader, if you want to buy on a dip, I'm not that guy. I don't like the pain and suffering, because you take a shot, maybe this is a good buy, and the next thing you're getting killed. But there is one tactic you can use. Let's say that you go into a market. Let's just take SLV. SLV looks good today. Looks like it's had its low, it's going higher. What you can do, since they've got options expiring today, you can take a position if you thought it was going higher in SLV and buy today's options to make sure you get ahead. In other words, it's 66.84. You buy the same day and you got protection. If you're wrong, you got that hedge on while you're waiting to see how this thing unfolds. That's a tactic you can use, but you got to be pretty attuned to doing it. Okay. Anyway, I just think that those have to be. I think that has to be thought of from that perspective. That's my opinion.
Right. So yeah, Tom, we got a lot going on. Let me go ahead. I know we got a lot of review here, and I want to start it this way. I want to start with some of the recent calls that you made. On the last day of February, Tom said to be careful, circle your wagons, issued pocket puts, and kept issuing pocket puts throughout the month of March. And it was basically, Tom, because you had the feeling that, you know what? I think this is the weekend. And turns out that was right. So yeah, those feelings are kind of important. Talking about when that next step would be. You heard it here. There's still a lot that is open to interpretation, so be very careful with the way you approach the market. In early 2024, Tom said gold would bottom around Valentine's Day. February 2024, it did. You had a nice big rally on that. I don't know if I'd call that recent, but it recently came to fruition as we topped out in gold back in February and have come down a little bit from that in March. In the first 5 days of 22, Tom said, do not be long. Get short if you are comfortable trading short. Those of you who remember 2022, that was a negative year in the market. And I think that was the
That's
last
probably one of
negative
our
year.
best years because most people lost 15, 20, 30% of their portfolio.
Hmm.
And I remember we had a seminar, and I realized people didn't know what to do when the market went down. So we spent a lot of education time that year getting people short or short
Yeah.
positions. That was a good year for education and everything else.
Definitely. I think people get very comfortable in bullish markets, and when a bearish market comes along, it's an adjustment. And if that's what we're looking at, we are here to help you through that adjustment, as we did in 2022. So we're going to interpret the market and see what advantages we have as we go along. Now, this is Train and Trade. Welcome in again. Hello to our YouTube audience. Great to see you guys here today. I'm going to take you through a couple things, but I want you to remember that all trades in Train and Trade are tracked through T-Buzz Talk and Trade, which is at dtitrader.com/TNT. Want to get everybody signed up for that. We have a few other things that come out in that TNT channel. For instance, Tom's early morning gave us 64.45 as a pivot. Looked like that one worked out pretty well. Market bouncing right in front of that to climb back up here today. Uh, we've also got the Magic 5 Daily that come out in the TNT channel. You'll get the DTI Daily Market Rundown. We'll get the reference bars. We got a lot of information in that TNT channel. Make sure that you are tracking that along with us. dtitrader.com/TNT. New options education resource. There will be a lot of option trading in that TNT channel, so make sure you know a little bit about options. Go to dtitrader.com/options edu. Adam continues to work on that to make the site a little bit better for everybody. We we try and listen to what you guys are saying and put it in action on the education side. So give it a gander. Let us know what you think. Now, want to tell you about Tom's first book in the trilogy. We've got the Roadmap to the Markets available on Amazon.com, Winning the Day Trading Game with a complimentary audio book. The Markets Never Sleep available on Amazon.com, and Trade to Win also available. Now, I want to show you real quick. We'll come back to these books in just a second, but I want to tell you about some of the online, or actually, let's see. It looks like Jonathan's got the slides. Online public resources that we like to use here at DTI. Some of our big news sources, Forex Factory, you've heard us talking about that. Econo Day, I think, is one of the best sites for getting that weekly view of the market within the week. Very detailed information. Earningswhispers.com for those of you who like to look for the earnings reports that are coming out and do some trading around that. Earningswhispers.com is a great website for that. And of course, we our partners at the exchange, can't forget them. CMEgroup.com, based out of Chicago, the New York Stock Exchange. I'll bet you can guess where that's based in New York, New York. And then the Eurex, for those of you trading overnight, tracking some of those European markets, we have the link here that takes you to the English language version at eurex.com. Now, if you log in from your computer at just eurex.com, it'll probably direct you to this link, eurex.com/ex-en. But we'll go ahead and put the full link on the page here. So if you're looking for information, and by the way, these are very detailed, these exchange websites, very detailed in what they can give you. So if you want to learn about all the things that go into a gold contract and when it's likely to roll and what the expiration dates are, the first notice date, all that detailed information is available at these websites. Plus, you'll get a few extras like the holiday calendars and the over at the CME, you get the FedWatch tool, which could be important in late April. We'll just throw that out there a little bit early. All right, so we do have other resources as well, and I want to point you towards some of those DTI white paper booklets. Tom Busby's YouTube page. Again, we encourage you guys to jump in there, like and subscribe. I see a few people have joined already, and we got a few people watching the live stream, so welcome into everybody on that side of things. And then let's see, after the YouTube page, important terms to know. This is a professional market that we're looking at. There is a professional language. So if we say something that sounds a little bit out of place, it's common knowledge to us, but if you need a little bit of help getting some of these terms to know down, go ahead and click there. Tom Busby's penalty tape. We mentioned Options EDU by DTI, and of course the B&N interview. And now we're going to move over to the March FTD stocks. And Jonathan, I'm going to let you address this. I know you've got these updated for today. So, what are we looking at? Because there's a little bit more information on this page right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of information on this page. I updated it 11:21 a minute ago. And if you just put your eyes on these two columns here that say above FTD high, below FTD low. If it says long, that means it's above its 3-day high for March. As we finish up the month here, the dollar index is. While the S&P, NASDAQ, and Dow are below their 3-day low. All right. We'll look at a further study in a moment where the S&P, the Dow, and the NASDAQ are trading in relation to their range for the month. In another slide, I've got they're open for the month, they're high for the month, they're low, they're midpoint, and we'll update the current prices to see kind of how they're doing as we finish up the month of March. There's crude oil long, of course, as expected with what's happened in the crude market. Tom, here's your grains down here. Soybeans, wheat, and corn. Wheat and corn are long. We got TLT short, USO long. As we scroll down the list, today's been, the market perked up some from the lows overnight, but still for the month, obviously very overwhelmingly bearish as we finish up March. But as Chuck and Tom mentioned yesterday, today's the last day of March. Tomorrow starts a new month, and a new month brings a new chance for.
Actually starts tonight.
That's
So
right. Yep. Thank you.
tonight, the E-mini, all the futures will open for tomorrow tonight at 6. And stocks, according to my uh, list, open at 8 o'clock tonight, which is for the new month. So those are important numbers tonight to gather on stocks you're interested
So,
in my opinion.
yeah, we do a lot from a tape reading perspective here at DTI, and we want to connect those dots where the open is. And that's such a fantastic insight. That 8 p.m. Eastern time open that Tom continuously says on stocks really gets tonight. It's going to be a classic case of you getting a jump start on everyone else by paying attention to that 8 p.m. open and where the price, moves from there. 6 p.m. open for futures, 8 p.m. open for stocks. Now, this spreadsheet, let me share it. You can see I've got it bookmarked at the top of my browser. I recommend everybody do that. The link's not going to change, but the numbers will starting tomorrow. All right. I usually, I'll get it updated tonight with the futures opens, but you'll just have to know that the stocks will all open tomorrow after the cash open. All right. But the link doesn't change. I just shared it in the Zoom chat. Make sure you save the link however you prefer to save it.
And Jonathan, are you going to carry in the new sheet the high and low from March for these positions or these pictures? Like you did in January?
Yeah, I mean, we can do whatever framework you want to do
Yeah,
here.
I'd
You want
like
the
to
high and
have the
low
high
from,
and low March open, high and low for all the tickers that we care about going into April.
okay, and do you want to keep the Jan, Feb, March opens?
And it won't hurt to have it.
Definitely keep the year open for sure. I'm worried about the amount of space we have here
Yeah,
to look
maybe
at all
take the
this.
year open and then take March open, high and low. That'd be enough, I think,
Okay. Yep, we'll do.
as we
Now,
make that transition into April.
yep, that's right. And so the spreadsheet will change some over the first several days of the new
Now,
month of
how do they get
April.
updated numbers and all that, Jonathan? How do they get that?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. This is updates whenever I update it, which is about 2, 3 times a day, which means you don't have to do anything. You just need to grab that
That's
link that's in
beautiful,
the Zoom
folks.
chat.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, just be sure to grab that link inside the Zoom chat. There's also a link on the slide deck today and save those links for your review later on. Now, at the end of the day, I'm going to click File and make a copy of the March spreadsheet. And you could even do the same after the market closes today, after 5 p.m. Eastern time when the futures close. You could come here and make a copy of the March spreadsheet to your own computer if you wanted to save it for your records. But I'll be doing that, making a copy of the March spreadsheet, and then everything will start to change for April. So keep that in mind as we move into the new month. And here's that spreadsheet link again. Now, today's topic for training trade. Well, we've had quite a March, not only in the market, but our education through March has been fantastic. We went over that yesterday. Hopefully, you enjoyed the session yesterday, looking at all the insights we covered in the month of March. Let's review some numbers by the market. And I tell you what, just so we're as current as we possibly can be, excuse me, let me update the last price here on these. S&P 64.74, the NASDAQ 23,492, 1,951. Crude oil 104.53. Gold is 46.40. Silver is 73.80. And bonds are 113. in 18, 30 seconds. Tom, I'll let you speak about this briefly.
Yeah, the if you look at those numbers right there, it pretty well tells you why March was a difficult month. You had a 63.50, 69.11, 69.11 less than last month's high, and then you made a new low. And looking at a lot of range there. There's a lot can happen from 6350 to 6900. That percentage movement is what ripped your heart out because it's hard to hang in something like that when you look at some of these options, especially if you play an option stock even sometimes because you get quite a movement in some of these stocks for the month. And it's not over. It's just I'm telling you, as long as that VIX is over 20, you're going to expect. I call it market in turmoil. Okay. If you ever hear me say that, I'm really going to get cautious on it. I've been doing this for 40 years. It's hard for me to do things, and I just go a lot slower, a lot lighter with money because I know that once we get through this, that trend will emerge, whether it's up or down, and we'll go with it.
I figured what we do, Tom, is look at these from the MTI by DTI perspective. These are daily charts on our MTI by DTI indicator.
That's a sell.
That's the S&P futures. Here's the NASDAQ.
That's a sell.
Here's the Dow.
That's a sell.
Here's crude oil,
That's a buy.
gold,
That's a sell.
silver,
That's a sell.
bonds.
I'd call that a sell too.
And just what you may not see this just by looking at the charts because your eyes are probably focused on the charts. Really neat thing we have at the top of these MTI charts is we give you the yearly open and what has happened for the year. Bonds are down about 1.5%. We give you the monthly open. All right. Bonds are down over 4%, but for the week, bonds are up 1%. For the day, it's slightly up. You can see by the green marker there. And then we give you the top and bottom is where the white lines are, the white MTI lines are. So let's cycle back through these and look very quickly. I'll keep that circled. S&P down 6% for the month, or for the year, excuse me, down 5% for the month. And for the week now, we're up over 1%.
So how much?
For the week, as of the time when I took this snapshot, the S&P was trading at 64.68, and it was up 1.39% for the week. 63.80, of course, is the weekly open, so we're up about 100 points from that. On the NASDAQ, we're down almost 8% for the year. We're down almost 5% for the month. We're up a similar 1.3% for the week now, as of this posting. For the Dow, we're down 5% for the year and month, almost 5.5% for the month. We're up right around that 1.3% for the week. Crude oil up 80% for the year, 38% for the month, still up 1% for the week. We are down from the daily open, but we're still up 1% for the week on crude oil. Gold, kind of a checkerboard pattern here. We're up 7% for the year. We're down 13.5 for the month. We're up 2.5 for the week. And we're up on the daily open. Silver, similar, up 3% for the year, down 23% on the month, up 6% on the week, and we're up from the daily open. And finally, we already talked about bonds. Tons of information you get from that MTI by DTI, the charts alone. And we have a brand new dashboard. The dashboard, happy to say the dashboard is live on one-click trading. If you're a part of MTI, the dashboard is live. Give us some feedback in the chat. As you started to explore this dashboard, have you enjoyed it? Let us know in the Zoom chat today, and I'll repost some of your thoughts. But if you
No,
didn't know,
Jonathan, I'm trading. Just a comment about the new dashboard. I'm trading it, and the master class. I think we decided we'd do it next week. I thought we'd do it. Uh, I'm going to give you some insights to that dashboard. I think, yeah, I know you love it now, but wait till you get the insights for that master class. I've had a couple of days now of looking at it, and I see some real possibilities for it.
yeah, I agree. So we'll give you about a week or so to
Play with it.
review it, play with it. Yep, we'll do the same, and then form a real good masterclass next week. Probably, what do you think? Probably the latter half of next week, Tom?
Oh yeah, definitely the latter half.
In the morning, Jennifer, check it in the morning. Right after the cash open, for example, or right before it, either one. Go to one if you're part of MTI by DTI, Bob. Go to oneclicktrading.com, and then click on the find your market timing indicator section that you have. And when you go there, the second box is going to say Market Dashboard or MTI Dashboard. It's web-based. While the charts and everything are loaded into Thinkorswim, the new MTI Dashboard is web-based on our member site. Now we're finishing up the month of March, and the market has just been bleeding all month. The question is, if you've been listening to Tom, how have you done on your trading? And Tom's been off the charts for what the market has done. This has been quite the month here. 27 total trades. 21 of those have been winners. 6 losers. 78% accuracy rate.
And I want to say something about that, Jonathan. When I said, well, I was nervous to ask you, said, because I mean, this month was just, in my opinion, has been probably one of the most difficult months I've traded in recent years. And I thought, oh, this is going to come back 50% accurate or 60% accurate. And then you showed me this. I fell out of my chair when I saw this. I said, okay, so what do I attribute that to? Okay. I attribute it to the fact I've been very disciplined this month. I recognize this market turmoil was on steroids, and I recognize that they will be a better odds play because it's all about what are my odds doing this or not doing that. It's not about showing out or anything else, but it's not the kind of market that you can go into without a deliberate plan. And I'll give credit to the plan we had and the timing of recognizing the war was going to start. That helped big time. So, that would probably be the percentage would be down if I had circled the wagons and said, folks, go to the sidelines here. We're about to go fisticuffs with Iran. I might be as proud of that result publicly as I've been, and I know I've helped a lot of people. I've talked to a lot of people. It's been a rough month, but the good news is, wait till we get things cooking. I'd say, in the future, meaning where you got a lot easier market, it could be pretty good.
Hey, Andrew, send me an email, row at DTI Trader, ROWE at DTI Trader, and I'll help you out. I'll be looking for your email after our live session here. So, Tom, that was the month of March. Here's the first quarter. Unless if we close the trade today, this might change slightly, but for the quarter one, 2026, 102 closed trades, 82 winners, 23 losers, 1 break even. That's a 77% accuracy rate over the entire quarter, first quarter, 2026. It's been an active one, that's for sure. I would say probably, we wanted to cover some highlighted trades, and I would say of recent note, there's nothing more highlighted than the pocket puts that you've got us into over the month of March. So that's going to be our highlighted trades today. Here's your pocket puts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 trades. Pocket puts. Actually, we closed half of a pocket put yesterday, so it could add that one there. 10. Pocket puts in the month of March.
Yeah, and I'm keeping a pocket put in my account, like I told you, as long as the VIX is above 20. And Johnson, the last one we put on, when we put that last one on, was it Friday? We put the last one on Friday.
Yes. Yep. It was Friday. Yep.
Yeah, because I like to rotate those things, and I'll probably Thursday rotate another one out, rotate that one out to Thursday, because I like to give it at least 4 to 5 days on each cycle. Seems to be the right formula. And so remind me, Jonathan, Thursday to look at that pocket put.
Yeah. Sounds good. Okay. Heading into the long weekend.
Oh, we'll definitely have pocket puts on going into that long weekend. I'll promise you on that one.
Now, Chuck, if you're here, you put this slide together for us and appreciate it.
Yeah, sure, Jonathan. So going through some of the key dates in April, we're looking at the big news. Of course, tomorrow is the first day of the month, right? And that's what makes it big. I think Good Friday is going to be an interesting day, number one, because the markets are closed. Number two, because we get that NFP release. And that's going to be something you have to account for going into the weekend. I know Tom's probably already got a plan in his mind. You'll be hearing more about that likely during this trade and trade session tomorrow. So keep up with us as we go through. We got April 6th, which is the third day of April, and we always like to look at the performance of the first 3 days. We also have ISM Services PMI coming out. April 9th, the sixth day, so that's after the first 5 days, after the first week as you go through. We'll have core PCE and final GDP. Important to note that those are still fourth quarter numbers. The core PCE, I think, is going to be a monthly, but the GDP is for the fourth quarter 2025. April 10th, we have the first Friday in April, because, of course, this Friday will not be traded, but we've got core CPI coming out on that first Friday. And then April 14th, core PPI, and April 15th. Most of you guys probably don't have to worry about this. You probably think ahead a little bit, but a lot of people out there are going to be a little bit pressed for tax day, and that does have some market implications, which I'm sure we'll be covering as we lead up to that April 15th trade date. April 21st, core retail sales, April 23rd, composite PMI, and then the big event FOMC day on April 29th. And when we get to April 30th, this is something that's going to interest me. We get GDP and PCE back on schedule. The April release at the end of the month for GDP and PCE is typically your first view of the first quarter, and looks like they're planning on being on schedule. We'll see if they can keep that up. But this is the way that the month of April looks right now, and I've kind of shaded the text a little bit to let you know about some of the more important days. So, kind of put some emphasis in certain places. Tax day, I think, is big. Uh, that end of the month, FOMC, then the GDP and PCE coming out on time is big. But of course, we start everything off with a day that's not a day. April 3rd, coming up this Friday, not a trade date, but we do get that NFP release.
Yeah, and the planning session will not be on Easter. It will be on Monday. Put that in the books this Monday. We'll do the planning session on Monday. I'll give you the time. I'll get with Jonathan. We'll coordinate with the schedule, but we'll definitely do it on Monday. You know, might do something a little different because we have Monday night. We have the future. So Jonathan might talk about doing it midday Monday or something like that. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
And let's see, Ryan asking when do futures close on Friday? They do not open. This is the one time there's 2 days, I think, Tom, where the futures markets and stock markets go on break at the same time because usually you get the futures markets trying to track with everything. Christmas and Easter. Well, actually, New Year's. Christmas, Easter, and New Year's. The market's not going to be open. Christmas, it's not going to be open. New Year's, and it's not going to be open on Good Friday. So it just doesn't open. It
You
closes
learn
on
something.
Thursday.
Way to
That's it.
go, Doug. I like people who learn things like that.
Yeah. So that's one of the things about being a futures trader is you will often, Tom, be working when everybody else is taking a vacation. Good Friday, not one of those days. When we close on Thursday evening, that is it until Sunday night.
And speaking of that, Tom, wasn't thinking earlier when we scheduled a Friday masterclass, we'll have to reschedule. We get change a different date here on the TNT
Yeah,
first
we'll have to do a different
class.
date on that. Maybe we can do, hey, how about, do we have anything Thursday morning?
I'm gonna tentatively put that and then go check on the
Yeah, I'd like to
schedule.
do it because there's been so many changes in our TNT room. I want to bring everybody up to speed with all the positives that are happening there. We got some really neat things going there. So we'll do that first hour, and who knows, probably do a trade on Thursday. I'm thinking set up. Depends on what happens Wednesday night, huh?
And that will work, Tom. 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, Thursday morning, TNT
Sound
Scholarship
like a
Hour.
plan to me.
Now we got some slides here to discuss your TNT program in more detail. Do you want to
Yeah,
go to
let's
a
go
live
live,
market?
then we'll come back. I want to go to the live market because I'm seeing some things people need to know about. Let's bring up crude oil, if you will, Jonathan. If you will, bring up crude oil. Now, if I look at crude oil, like I said, last night, that high was being made last night at the low of the S&P. And I would expect crude oil in conjunction for that big rally that we had from last night's low on the E-mini, I would expect crude oil to be higher than where we were last night at 8 o'clock. And the reason I'd expect that, I've been expecting, I said to myself, is this rally going to fold about halfway through the day? That's what I was thinking. It's starting to develop that way. If you piece together the 7 o'clock reading, draw a line there on the E-mini. Yeah, with that 105.20 on crude. Let's put the E-mini up. I meant to say, let's switch to E-mini because we're walking through with E-mini. Look at these numbers. Okay, so if you look at the 7 o'clock reading this morning, that low is down at 64.35. We came down and tested that low. So that's your number. You break below that, this rally will be over, and all of a sudden they'll start working lower. Write that number down, 64.35. But if you look at RB3, the 97 at the top, it looks to me like that's why Genesis is so important. If you end up with a negative Genesis, I would expect to test at 35. If you end up with a positive Genesis, then you're going to take out that, and you'll see crude pull back, and you'll see the market go higher, and there's room to go. You get up to 65, 25 area if it did that. It's just too early to see, but I would tell you that it looks to me like 4 out of 5 days, when you come into this day, you're gonna make a higher low. It looks right in the middle now, but I would lean right now that we won't have a continuation day. That can change if crude changes, but crude looks like it's pressing the highs right now. Anyway, I want to show you those two markets. Now, two markets, Jonathan mentioned our our dashboard. Put MU in there, if you will, MU. Now, the dashboard today gave a short on MU into that stream. I thought that was pretty interesting because I trade this stock a lot. I guess it's got to break, what is that, about 315 to really go into a sell. But at the price I bought it, I actually got out at $1 profit. So that's using that dashboard. The other one that interested me to the downside was Google L. Now, I've never traded Google L. I've always traded Google. But Google L, this is interesting. Google L at 282 became a sell, and it's going to be interesting how that one works out. But it's not as near as bearish as the pattern we had on MU, I thought. Okay. Now, those two I want to now put the QQQ in there. QQQ. I always tell people that come visit me, this is really the key, the QQQ. QQQ had an opening price this morning of 564. Write that number down, 564. All the pullbacks will be contained, okay, as long as we stay above 564. Okay, that's the QQQ. Any questions about the current market? Okay, let's go back to our slides then.
Yeah, just a quick reminder, Thursday morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, Thursday, April 2nd. The first hour of the trade day is going to be focused on TNT, live with TNT. So all you TNT folks, will send the Zoom link out via the Telegram, and we'll see you there. Speaking of TNT, Tom, in the month of March, on the books, 10 wins, 2 losses, 83% accuracy rate.
That ain't bad.
That's not bad, and it's far from all the trade opportunities you actually get inside TNT. It's a little misleading because you probably quadruple that, well, trade opportunities just by being in the channel. So I wanted to go through today kind of a typical day in the program with reviewing today's postings.
That's good. Just look at it.
Now you start bright and early, about 5 in the morning, giving a snapshot of the market, which if you don't know how to use this, there's several different ways you can use it. You can look down the change column to see what's, green or red. But ideally, we'd like you to practice a little tape reading. Look at the last price, compare it to the reference bar, and then compare it to the open. The open is the daily open, the 6 p.m. open. And at this point in time, the reference bar, let's see, if you posted this at 5 a.m., that would have been RB2's open. So whatever the current reference bar is. So practice some tape reading.
Notice the high. Here's what I can get out of it. The high is 62. That was I gave a 45 pivot, and I said, if we get above 62, I'm going to buy this sucker. And we did get above 62, and it went up to 97 on the E-mini. And then I was looking at crude oil, and I said, crude oil hovering again to that 102. It's got to break down and get near its lows for this rally to hold. Didn't do that. We're at 104 now. Taking these numbers and sort of, putting in there. And anyway, this is a look at things that you see. But notice that MU opened at 323 roughly, and MU's trading right now. If I look up here at MU, it's at 319. So it's given up some of its move, and I thought that was interesting. The other thing that caught my eye, and I gave y'all SLV. Look at SLV. SLV at 66. And we check it real quick. It was holding it pretty good at 66 level on silver, and I actually bought a few shares. Yeah, it's at 66.90. Now, what I did, this is where I said I need to hedge myself because I'm gonna get busy and forget about it. I actually bought the shares for a trade. I bought the 66 stock, and I bought the put on it for 40 cents to protect myself, and I'll get out of probably both of them by the close, okay? And so obviously with the up move, I didn't want to miss it. being a silver bull. And I said, I'll take a small risk there. That's what I did. A lot of information there that can help you navigate through the noise, the news, and everything else. Okay.
Speaking of navigating through the noise, your daily pivot is really designed to help you with that each and every day.
Let me ask you, people that follow my pivot like I do, how good is that pivot number in the morning to have before you start your day? How good is it for you? I know it's great for me, and anybody that Wendy says never had it, loved it. Okay. Rob calls it diamond. Peg says great for selling premium. Okay. Yeah, it's something that really frames my mind what I'm looking at. Okay. Just a pivot number. Now, the Magic 5 today. Notice that AGQ and SLV. First time I put them in there, the Magic 5, in probably a month of Sundays. And I said, I think I might trade these today. They're looking like there's a bid there. So AGQ got above 115. I'd probably consider doing it. And SLV, a little bit more loose on SLV. That AGQ, you got to really focus on that one. Then I said the QQQ, if the QQQ gets above 567.55, it should be an early buy. By the way, these are early plays. How high did the QQQ go today? Let me check real quick. Yeah, it's at 566.50 now. It went to 569. Okay, I was expecting a little bit more out of that one. 5640.55 on the SPY. That's where it is right now. Got up to 43. Then I put gold in there. I like gold for options, and it makes me focus, but it's at 424.55. Sometimes I'll sell premium on that. It has 3 expirations, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So I was looking at that today for an option sale. If gold got rolling, silver was rolling this afternoon. That's how I use that Magic 5. It's a moneymaker if you use a few simple techniques. Is this making sense to everybody that's a member of TNT, what I'm going through right now? We're going to have that master class, and I'm going to give you some steps to go through each of these sections Jonathan's covered. All right, keep going. Now, notice I put a resistance level of 64.75. At the time, we were trading 64.40. So that was our first resistance coming up. It was our support coming down. We just broke it. Now we're at 64.68. I like to look at things where they should be. And you can see that right now the market's on the defensive. Okay. Now I do this. I search the web using a site I go to. It tells me what everybody's talking about. Okay. And I thought I always get interested in what Wall Street's thinking. Okay. And just the stuff that goes in there and what they're talking about. One guy said he thinks the S&P is going to be at 6,300 by the end of 2026. He might be in the minority because we were almost there this morning. Okay. Micron, what's Micron say? It says, don't fall for low PE. It's a value trap. Helium shortage on NVIDIA should hurt them a little bit. Anyway, I look at these things and then I think of the stocks associated with it. Okay. And it talks about gold. When I see this, I start looking at it because it might be a bounce for gold. Gold suffers historic monthly rout. But Goldman Sachs doubles down. After losing half your money with Goldman Sachs, they come in and double down. I like it. Okay. And it talks about the energy stocks. And anyway, I like to look at these headline news and see how they play with stocks that I own or thinking about owning. Now, I can usually come back and I give you a summary and I talk about the market last night. I have been hammering for 2 years on how to trade the E-mini. Last night, this hand was, I was going to go short. My targets were in place. All I had to do was wait to after 9 o'clock. And I tell people, wait to after 9. And there's a reason. Last night's the reason. This market, about 8:30 to 8:45 last night, started surging. And we went up, what, 150 points from 9 o'clock last night? And it's an insight. And I talked about crude was at 107 approximately at that time. The VIX has dropped from 29 to 26 this morning. And after 9, futures traders were taught that until 9, evaluate. What an insight. That's worth a whole year's worth of lesson learning that one lesson on the market itself. And I said, look what I said at the end. All above doesn't matter if crude goes above 107.55. So there's your new number on crude that tell you we're going back into the sell mode. That's your new number, 107.55. I believe that will happen when we start the operation for the straight up hold move. This is what Chuck does for me, just strictly for me, but I've tried to teach people. I'm going to spend some time on Thursday and show you how valuable this is. Let me give you an example. If I look down there and I see, let's just go find NVIDIA. Everybody see NVIDIA at 167? Everybody see NVIDIA at 167 right there? And the high 170 and all that? Basically saying I got a pivot number for NVIDIA and I can use that pivot number maybe to do an option trade in a normal market. That's an advantage of having these numbers laid out for you around the clock. And I thank Chuck for doing that. The order he gives it in, it's easy to follow. It's just so valuable to have this stuff. Look at GDX. What's GDX? Pivot number is 87.88. GDX is at 89.50. There's 100 shares would give you $200 just using that pivot number. These pivot numbers are very important for all these different stocks. Now, I think trade tickets by brokerages are terrible. That's my personal view. So I developed my own, and I call it the T-Buzz TNT trade ticket. We give the ticker, expiration date, the trade. We put it in there for entries and for exit. How many people in TNT love this ticker, getting it this way? Easy to find, easy to see, and easy to operate off of, isn't it? Yeah, everybody likes it. I like it myself because that's how I go look at it after it's being posted. Easy to understand and execute. Morris said, we didn't have that back when he was with me. We got it now, Morris. Yeah, now this is a long-term subscriber, but again, I haven't done a master class on TNT probably in a year. We're going to take time Thursday morning and make sure everybody that's signed up for April, by the way, this is only a 1-month commitment to be a student and learn what we do in here. It's $200. It's a market that I can handle. What a time to be in TNT, because I'll be watching this market. You'll get an alert if you need to pay attention. That's a promise. TNT. Go to dtitrader.com/TNT and get a spot in there. I'd like you to join right now if you'll do it. And if you do that, then I'll add you in there because, like I said, if crude goes above 107, I'm going to post a trade into TNT. If crude goes above 107. You can guess what that's going to be. Any questions about TNT, the master class, and what we're going to accomplish on Thursday? Okay. I think we laid it out good, Jonathan. That's an everyday thing. What we went through, you got all that every day plus a lot more, but I think I wanted to go through